Hey guys, Paul McLean here. Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Podcast. I'm excited that you joined today. And my goal, like it is every single Monday, is to bring you some great value. And I honestly sit back and I think, who can I have on that I know is going to do that for you? That you can sit there and say, man, because that guest was on, I'm better. I can go out there and I can elevate my game, take it to the next level. And guys, today I promise, I know I've done that today. I've got my good buddy Isaiah on, guys. Welcome, Isaiah.
Good, bro.
Hey, good to have you on, man.
Yeah, man, dude, it's always a blast to be on here, bro. Dude, you're always someone I've always looked up to. So for me to be able to be on here and share my story and help out any way I can, it's an honor, bro. So appreciate you, man.
You got it, brother. Hey, remember when the first meeting we had in Utah, me and Andrew came out?
I do, dude. That meeting changed my life, bro. It really did.
How long ago was that?
That was in 2019, back when I was first kind of getting this thing going, dude. So that's when, my belief level was real. I saw you guys on all the videos and stuff. I'm like, are these even real people? And then you see them in real life. It's like, you're almost like starstruck, like, oh my gosh, there's Andrew and Paul. And, got to talk to you guys a little bit. And that's when I was like, I want to emulate my business to like, these people. And, it was all that's where it all started, bro.
I mean, I remember like it was yesterday, dude. And then you go from starstruck to having lunch with us, thinking like, if these fools could do it, man, I got a chance, man. This is gonna be all right. And so, dude, it's been fun watching the growth you've had, and man, you've had some great accomplishments. You guys are going out there helping, over 2,000 families as a team a month, which, dude, that's more than 98% of IMOs in the nation, as far as how many families you guys are protecting, the volume that you're doing. You've also sold at a very high level. What was your best year in personal production? How many families did you help?
I didn't quite hit Hall of Fame. Closest I ever got was I did 380 families.
So 380. So you were the guy that almost hit Hall of Fame?
Dude, I was so mad at myself. I was like, man, I just needed 20 more families, dude. I'm just so close, bro.
Dude, that's when you write. You should have wrote yourself like a 20,000 in AP, like IUL on yourself.
Policy, right?
Yeah, on yourself, bro. Is what you should have done.
Speaking about it, I was like,
I should have done it, man. But hey, dude, that's a big deal though. 380 families in a year, and now your team. When you look at the organization, dude, you've got the highest average issue paid producer in the entire company. I mean, you said the average producer is helping 12 families a month. 12 families a month, average per rider. Mm-hmm. Which is crazy, man. I mean, that means that the average person on your team is helping 12 families. Some are helping 60, 80, 100 plus on their own pen. And that's a big deal. So I definitely want to unpack that. Before we get into that, I want to start off by asking you a question that I ask everybody as we start now is, what's the best advice that you've ever received?
Man, put me on the spot. The best advice I've ever received. You talking just business or anything?
Just anything, man. Yeah, best advice you've ever received from anybody.
Yeah. I was talking to Andrew, dude, a few months back, and he was just talking to me about how important it is to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. Because a lot of times, you have your eyes fixed on this goal, and if there's days where maybe you feel like you're kind of running off track and you're not on pace for the goal. Because I mean, that being an entrepreneur and being self-employed, there's good days and there's bad days. But you have to learn to enjoy the journey, because if you can do that, then, it's just a blast the whole way, dude. So when he said that to me, I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, enjoy the good days, enjoy the bad days, and it just makes the whole process a lot better, dude.
I love that, man. And I think that most high achievers, that's kind of the struggle that they deal with. They deal with like the next victory, the next win, going after that next big thing. And I think they never really kind of celebrate the times that they're winning. And they're always in this discontent space where, for me, a lot of times, man, I'm like, dude, I'm always thinking that I'm not doing enough. I'm always thinking that I'm almost failing, even though it might seem otherwise, just because of the fact that there's something new. And I think that's a big deal, man, for anybody on here to enjoy every little bit about it. And if you do that, you're more likely to learn from the bad and you're more likely to duplicate the good. But I think it's difficult. Like, it's easy. Like, I've heard that many times, Isaiah. Like, be honest, like I heard that I read that in a book when I was like, 21 years old. I can't remember. It was a Maxwell book, and he talked about that. And he used a whole like story about like, driving in this train, right? And they were so focused on, man, once we get to the destination, we're going to be able to do this and that. And what they missed was like all the joy, the beauty was actually on the destination. If they would have looked out the window and become more aware, like the places that they had gone through were significantly more, meaningful and beautiful than where they actually got. And I remember hearing that, but it was difficult for me to actually like do it, how have you helped yourself do that? Like how have you helped yourself enjoy the journey, to be present throughout the highs and lows? Like, has there been something that's helped you kind of really, actually execute with that philosophy?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. So, with our business, right, we do life insurance, obviously. And so for me, I like to set like little goals in between like the main goal. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
So I break down, like I'll pack down, like I'm looking at my calendar right now across my desk here, and I've got my goal for the year, right? But then I have goals breaking down for each month, like what I want to do each month. And then how do I do that? I have like a daily planner here, and I've got like my daily goals for the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, being able to like accomplish my daily goals helps me feel good about myself, makes me feel like I'm on pace, makes me feel good. And dude, I like to celebrate a little bit too. Like, dude, if I hit my monthly goal, maybe like, for example, I'll give you an example, dude. So, I'm selling full time. I took a lot of time off from the field, but I'm back selling. I'm having a lot of fun doing it. But like one of our goals was, one of the goals that we set was like, all right, with Isaiah's personal production, Carolina and myself, she said, all right, so with Isaiah's personal production, we can use 10% of that number for fun money. So like we just remodeled our kitchen, just had a blast doing that. And I was all from personal sales, right? From my 10% of my personal sales. So little things like that, man, we like to do along the way, just, little wins, and we're having fun, and we're just enjoying the journey, and eventually we'll get, to where we want to go. So
I love that, dude. I think that's such a big tip, man, to kind of really keep you like fighting for something that you can feel good about the payoff, right? Like you can actually see the payoff. And dude, I said this before, and it's kind of funny thinking back, but like for me, Isaiah, I got started at 19, and like, dude, I grew up and we never went out to eat. Like, dude, if we went to McDonald's, like, dude, I would eat my fries slow and I would sip my soda. You know what I mean? Like, it was like an event, bro. Like, we didn't just had no money. And so, if I actually hit my weekly goal, because my whole deal was that if I don't hit my goal on Sunday, I'm going to run production. And I would stick to it, dude. Like, I was like big on like, hey, if I say it's done, like, I'm not going to say, hey, I'm going to punish myself and this is a consequence if I don't, do my activity goals. No, I would have to do it. And then on the other side, I said, well, if I hit my goal, I told my wife, and we only had one daughter at the time, Peyton, she was 4 or 5 months old. And I'm like, babe, if I hit my goal for the week, I'm not going to work Sunday, and we're going to go to Applebee's after church, And dude, I'd be so fired up, bro. Like if it was like, Saturday morning and I was like, dude, I just don't want to go to this last appointment. I'd go because I just, it was like I had the payoff in front of me. I had the Applebee's, bro. And see, like, but that concept, dude, it'll grow, all the way to like, like last year. Now it's like, if we hit this goal, we're going to go to the Ritz for 3 days, and, we're going to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You're going to go to the spa. I'm going to go, like it was just all planned out. I'm going to go, by what, like it elevates, but it starts wherever you're at now. Like that concept starts at Applebee's, right? Like, and then it goes to remodeling the kitchen and it evolves and stuff. But I think that everybody on here, you got to realize, as a self-employed person, this is what helps you create the right disciplines, like a consequence mindset, because you don't have an employer doing it. An employer, if you hit your goal, might say, hey, I'm going to give you this bonus check. Or if you just crap the bed, dude, he's like, you're fired. So like, how do you create that for yourself? And I think that's such a big deal, man. That point is, I believe, what really helped me get past the emotion of not feeling like doing something, or to engage in distraction and temptation, and really stay disciplined in the things that allowed me to go out there and eventually build the right habits. And I think it's the same for really anybody on here, man. So I absolutely love that. I think it's a big deal. So Isaiah, question, I think everybody's wondering after my last statement when I talked about your average issue paid per rider, because that's really high, man. Like, you got more people that help over 40 families in a given month than anybody in the country. And that's including teams that might be helping 8,000 families a month. Like, dude, you've done such a great job in having a culture and a DNA where agents are able to go out there and reach their potential and make a phenomenal income. So kind of talk about that, dude. Like, what do you think, set you guys up to do that? What's the separator? What are you guys doing that others are not that allows that to happen?
Yeah. So I'll kind of rewind a little bit, man. 2022 was quite the roller coaster for us as a group. Me specifically, had a great income year, but just kind of battled, some mental things because, in the beginning of the year, we were really stagnant and I could not figure out what was going on, dude. I was beating my head against the wall. We could not get over this number. We were floating around helping like 1,300 families for probably 8-9 months. I could not get over this number. And so that was Q1, Q2. And then Q3 comes around and I'm like, all right, we need to just kind of switch up what we're doing because, we've been so hyper focused on finding more recruits to, grow the volume. And not that we stopped doing that, but what I realized, I was like, we have almost 200 agents here. We have the bodies. And I would imagine that most of the people on the team want to make more money than they are right now. So how can I get that person that's, helping 10 families to help 20 families? How can I get that person that's helping 20 to do 30, from 30 to 40 and up from there? So that's when we got really, really hyper focused on that. I have one of the groups that we work with, Vivian and Adriano. They've been on the Morning Wake Up podcast before. They do an excellent job. They're absolutely crushing it. I think the average per rider on their team is, I think it's like 20 with their team. So that's crazy. That helps. It's phenomenal. It's insane. So that helps us a lot too. But we have a lot outside of that group as well. We've kind of emulated what they're doing into the other side as well.
Sure.
So yeah, man, we've just been really focused on like just trying to get people to make more money. And I think probably the biggest thing for me, dude, was one thing that I've struggled with is I've always kind of been like an introverted guy. Right. Just my whole life. It's just kind of how I grew up. And, getting uncomfortable, and stepping outside of my comfort zone was something that, that I battled with. And I can even kind of relate it back to when I was selling in the field. When you're sitting down with that family and they tell you, hey, Isaiah, this sounds great, but I need some time to think about it. I've watched all the videos hundreds of times and I know what I should say. But when I was new, there was just like that. It's a little uncomfortable for me to challenge these people. Right. So I would say, okay, that sounds great. I'll call you back in 3 days and we'll, go from there. Same thing kind of translates to agents as well. Right. And we have agents that, we're helping 15 families and they're full-time agents and they help 10, 15, 20 families a month. It's like, hey, like that's okay, but it's not that great. Like challenging people so they understand that. Right. Because before I was the guy was like, hey, you did 15 families. Awesome job. That's great. But if we're trying to raise the bar, that's not great. It's really not. So you're helping 15 families a month and you're full time. You're really not making a ton of money if we're just being real. Right. You're really not. I mean, you're paying your bills, you're getting by, but you're not getting ahead. And that's when I had to have, uncomfortable conversations with agents that want to make more money to tell them that they're not doing enough. All right.
So a big shift was starting to have conversations where it wasn't like just celebrating them for where they were at. It was seeing where they could go and then kind of asking questions that got them to see it to elevate to that higher level.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's kind of a better way to say it. But yeah, so like I've just been the guy before that was, hey, great job. You're doing great. Even though I know in the back of my head, they can do more and They're just getting by. They're not getting ahead. And then I had to take the approach of I'm done being like the nice guy almost, right? I need to be someone who's totally transparent and real with you. And, if you're helping 15 families a month and you're a full-time agent here, you need to do more.
Good, dude.
You need to do more.
Yeah.
And that's when I started challenging people to do more, dude.
Dude, that's so good, man. I don't know if I've ever connected it or had somebody say it like that, Isaiah, where it got me to think about it and connect it with selling, because like that's the same thing with selling. You're right. Like I remember thinking in the beginning, like a nice guy was giving them cards like, hey, we'll pass it out to the neighbors. Dude, you want to go to our barbecue? I'm like, this is great. Like, and then I'd call the guy that hired me. He's like, dude, did you get a voided check? I'm like, no. He's like, dude, what are we doing here? Like the family's unprotected, right? And what I realized is like that whole doctor-patient analogy really came from like the understanding that, what we're selling makes such a big difference. I have to tell them the truth. And if you got a doctor that you go in, you're 600 pounds overweight, and he's like, dude, you really got it. It's important, man. You got to start eating differently. You got to start working out. He doesn't expire change, but the doctor that is nice, in my mind, the nice doctor is a doctor that says like, dude, like, do you have a kid? Your kid? Yes, I got a 5-year-old. Have you told her that you're never going to walk her down the aisle? Like, have you had that conversation yet? It's important you have it now because there's not going to be many more conversations you're going to have based off of where you're going. I suggest you have that conversation with her. And they go into the emotion to try to rattle them to actually make a difference. That person's the nice one. And I've never really connected like that, dude. You're right, because I've definitely done that with agents where it's like not thinking like, and we owe it to them. Like that's how we got to champion them, right? Is see them for their next level. And then ask questions that get them. I mean, that's so good, dude. And I've done the exact same thing periodically over a decade, I'm sure, where I can fall into that because it is easy for us to do too. It's easy to just say, great job. It's easy to say, here's some cards. That's easy, right? I mean, that's so good, dude. I love the way you connected that. Isaiah, has there ever been like a time in your business where you kind of just got like, you lost like the appreciation or gratitude for what you were doing along this journey, right? We talked about like so focused on destination and not enjoying the journey. Was there a point in time or ever in your career where you kind of just like started to see it differently, where appreciation, gratitude started to kind of like dwindle? Have you ever had a season like that?
100%, dude. 100%. I've definitely battled with that. That was kind of like, in this place where we were pretty stagnant. Like I said, we were stagnant for like 8 months. And I think part of the problem for me was I wasn't selling at that time, right? So I was just kind of like the big honcho manager guy. This is kind of the role that I was playing, right? And, what started happening with that was, when you become an agency owner, you're going to have agents that call you and have complaints about stuff. It's just the nature of the business. It's what happens. And what started happening was because, what's crazy is like, even though you have an agency, that's helping 1,000 families a month. I had Jamie Cheery on a call a while back on one of our team calls, and he said something that I related to really, really well. He was like, if you do a really good job of building your agency, people think that your phone gets busier and busier and busier and busier, meaning like more and more and more people are calling you. Like you got so much to do that you're so busy you don't have time to sell anymore. And he's like, that's false. So if you do it the right way, you're going to build leaders, and agents call the leaders, and then over time, your phone actually gets a little bit more quieter. And I started to experience that.
Yeah,
I was like, man, why aren't people calling me? What's going on? It's like it's 12 o'clock, and like I only have 5 phone calls a day. What's going on? It's kind of quiet. And so I started to experience that, and I wasn't selling. So if I'm just being real, I kind of like started running out of stuff to do. Right? It's like what do I do with my day? So what started happening was I was talking to the complainers, the people that were calling to complain to me, and I was validating their complaints. And if you listen to this stuff over a course of time, eventually it kind of started getting to you a little bit.
Sure.
Right? And there was this season of time where, I would listen to all the baggage that the complainers were giving me, and I was believing it myself. Right? And that's when I had to make the switch, dude, and get myself busier. because then I realized, just like what I said earlier, it's like, this is the best business ever. I can go out and help a bunch of families for a couple months in a row. And with 10% of that income, I can remodel the kitchen for my girl.
Yeah.
I mean, we're having a blast. Like, what am I doing? What am I doing? Or I could go back to my last job. So, it is really easy to, in seasons to like kind of get in your head and lose your gratefulness and your excitement. But you always have to remember your why. I tell people that too, is like, you always have to remember why you did this, and I have a big why. So that, it moves me every day. And, I refuse to go back, dude. So I refuse. So, being grateful. Yeah, for sure, man. I guess is a long-winded answer to your question, but I have experienced that.
Yeah.
And that's how I overcame it. It was just getting busier, dude.
That's great, dude. And the crazy thing is, dude, like, it'll sneak up on you, like it'll just sneak in. And I think that, when you start losing appreciation, your performance starts to drop. Like for me, whatever I'm appreciative of, I typically perform at a higher level. It's like, if I'm really appreciative of my wife, I'm more intentional to think about things to show that, whether that's a date night or a gift or affirmation or no. But if I all of a sudden just lose appreciation for her, I'll take it for granted and my performance will drop. And it's the same thing with this business. And that's why you got to really you got to guard your heart and protect your mind, man. Like, as a new agent, usually it's from like people not in the business, right? It's from your Aunt Cindy or whatever, right? And they're like, calling like, what are you doing? Is that a job? Like, what, little things like that, right? That kind of can come on you. And then as you get in the business, man, like, it could be like you become the complaining department because you're trying to find something to validate the head honcho role. Dude, I've done the exact same thing. That's why I'm laughing when you're talking. I'm like, dude, that's because it does get quieter. And you're like, but this is my job. So then what do I got to do? Well, the complainers always want to talk. The productive people don't. They much to say they're out there figuring things out. Their question is what do I do next, and then they're out for 4 or 5 days doing it. The complainers, dude, they got all day, baby. Like they got a new complaint after you just solved the one that they just had. They want to talk. They want to complain. They want to validate not doing something. And so, dude, that's so good, dude. I mean, it's spot on. It really is spot on. In fact, the funny story, Isaiah. Me and Andrew were talking like, this has probably been 4 years ago. And we were just like talking and kind of started complaining, commiserating. And dude, we're both like top producers, we're doing well, but I don't remember exactly, but we were just complaining, and Andrew calls me the next day. He's like, dude, he's like, my little brother, which his little brother, Nick, now is with us and he's killing it, dude, like crushing it, helping 30 families a month. But he had a job at the Walmart distribution center. And it was like an hour drive from our house, right? And he worked graveyard. And he was talking to his little brother, and he was making like $13 an hour. So he's driving, dude, like an hour away, working graveyard, right? Stacking boxes for $13 an hour. And he's like, dude, what were we doing? I'm like, dude, who are you telling? Like, we're looking at our financial situation, our business, our lifestyle, our financial, the freedom, the schedule. And he's a grocery bagger. I'm a septic tank pumper, and we're freaking complaining. Like, dude, we should get stricken down by God with like a lightning bolt right now, Yeah, dude. It's like, well, what are we doing? But man, it's easy to happen, and you got to keep the right perspective. And I think you're 100% right to keep moving at the right level. Isaiah, one of the last questions I got that I really want to make sure we answer before we wrap up is, you've got. Arguably, and I don't even know if it's arguably, I think objectively, you have the more top producers per agent on your team than anywhere else. And so I think this question is going to be something that you probably have the most credibility to speak to. What are some of the commonalities that you see the top producers on your team have that others don't? Like, what are some of the common traits? Like, you're an athlete, right? You played, college basketball. There's probably certain things that the best did, rituals, routines that others didn't. What does that look like with this insurance business? Because I think you can speak to it better than most, man.
Yeah. Couple things, man. I actually haven't really thought about that before, but when I look at it right now, all of the top producers weren't top producers to start with, right? So they had to go through some sort of season of, struggle to get to have the results that they're having. So I would say that they were all really, they're relentless, dude. They're willing to push through seasons of, of struggle. They have, a lot of them have some sort of why, as to why they're doing this, what they want to accomplish. They're not just kind of running blindly and just trying to help, families. Like there's a mission. I would say a lot of the top producers on the team, they wake up early. That is something that's really true, dude. A lot of people don't do that. A lot of them do because they just, I mean, you had a podcast on this, the 5 a.m. mindset, where just, if you really look at how much time you get in a calendar year of waking up an hour earlier every day, I mean, over the course of time, how much productivity can you fit in? Right. So I think a lot of the top producers understand that. They're very, very efficient with their time. They're organized and they're willing to learn, dude. They're willing to take risks and they're very coachable. So, yeah, man. Dude, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, man. And I think that if anybody leaving here today, I mean, like, you don't have to, it's difficult to revamp everything, but if you can find something that you can leave and say, hey, I'm going to put this into practice this week. Like, my goal is this week to do this. Maybe there's something there. Like, are you waking up early enough? Like, just to go through and ask yourself those questions. I even love, Isaiah, how you said you're hitting your head against a wall. And you kind of just stopped and paused and asked yourself a question, like what do we need to do to get this thing growing again? Like, what must we do to get this thing to turn around? And I think that everything that, any kind of insight or aha moment that somebody's going to have that's going to make them aware of what adjustment they need to make or thing they need to do is going to come from a question that they first ask themselves, and then find the answer through thinking about that and then executing on that. And I think you've given so many opportunities for somebody to do that today, to go out there and take it to the next level. As we wrap up, man, I always do now like this rapid fire question to kind of get to know Isaiah. And by the way, none of this stuff is ever like planned. Like, that's why I want to ask Isaiah the first question. Maybe I should send it to the guests. Like, hey, I'm going to ask this because it's like, I just throw it. We just wing it,
me, bro.
Yeah. So, and this is also, I didn't prepare Isaiah for these questions either, but like, so this is just to get to know you. Like, Isaiah, what's your favorite book, the most impactful book you've read?
The most impactful book I've read was a book called The Slight Edge.
Okay. And that's by Jeff Olson, right?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That book really just kind of made me realize, holy smokes, just, what can you do to have the slight edge against your competition? Just little tweaks, like what we said about earlier, waking up an hour earlier a day. Just little things. Even for me, like, answering every single phone call, right? There's even with clients, right? Agents and clients, when clients would call me, a lot of agents experience this where they think, oh my gosh, this is Betsy wanting to cancel her policy. But a lot of times they just want a question answered. Right? Like, hey, what does this mean? I don't really understand what this means. And you're able to validate the set, help them out, validate them, make them feel better about yourself. So just like little things like that, that's helped me a lot. And I realized, just making little tweaks to my day can be massive results over, compounded over time.
I love that, dude. What about, like, did you have a childhood nickname?
Zay, Z-A-Y.
Z-A-Y. Did anybody still call you Zay? Is that just kind of like?
Yeah, a lot of people still do. A lot of my really close friends, parents call me Zay. People call me Z. Yeah, Z, Zay. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. It would be cool. Zay Financial. That just sounds good.
Oh, dude.
I like it, dude.
Man. Hopefully, I'm gonna have to go get that reserved online real quick before someone else.
I'm actually going to change your name on my phone to Zay now because seems like the right thing to do. All right. What about, what's something that nobody knows about you that's watching the podcast right now?
Something that nobody knows about me. Dude, I'm actually a really talented piano player.
Really?
Like, I can't read and write, but I've got this gift where, like, I can hear music and I can figure out how to play it. So
that's pretty cool, dude.
I got this weird gift where I can do it. Like, I took piano lessons one time in school. I took a piano class and I couldn't read the music at all. Right. And, so on our final, Gosh, dude. Sorry, man. My phone's ringing. I don't know if you
You're
can hear
good.
that. But anyways, so I had a final, right? We had to practice like this song for our test one day. And I could hear the song, and I could kind of sound it out, and I could play it. And then on the final day where the teacher like watched me play, she could tell I wasn't reading it. And I was like faking like I was turning the page, but I was turning the page on the wrong parts, and I was playing it. And she's like, "You can't read it. You're not reading it at all." And I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't read it. But I mean, did I pass? And she's like, what you have is actually very special. Like, a lot of people can't do that. That's a gift. And I was like, really? Okay, cool, I guess, So a lot of people don't
That's
know
pretty
that.
cool.
I
Yeah,
at home and messed around on it.
I love it, dude. Yeah, I didn't know that, man. That's pretty cool, man. Our last one. Favorite Netflix series?
Ozark.
Okay.
Have you seen that?
Dude, I watched like a couple episodes, and it was just like, dude, it's already difficult. If I'm uninterested quickly, and usually I'll watch it super late at night, dude, I'll just pass out. Like, I can't stay awake. And the show's so dark, dude. Like, my TV, it's like dark. Like, there's no light on it. So it's like, dude, it's like night time, bro. Like, I just pass out. So I think I tried to watch it for like 282 days, and I watched one episode, I think. I just kept falling asleep.
Give it a shot, bro. It's great.
I'm gonna have to go back and see it. But hey, man, I appreciate you, brother. This has been so good, man. I know that everybody on here, usually I'm like, hey, share this. I think you've already done that because of the content and how this best served you, the value that Isaiah brought today. So make sure to share it. Comment below. We got a lead drawing that we do every single week, and so you're eligible to win lead money that you can use that to actually put into your business to make it that much better this week as well. And so, guys, I appreciate you joining today. Make it a massive week. Be strong. Stay steadfast. And we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
What's going on, everybody? You know what time it is. It's time to give away leads to 4 lucky people. So comment on this video right now, because the people who commented on last week's video, which is playing right over here, are automatically enter win. So if you comment on this video right now, you could win free leads next week. Without further ado, let's see who our first winner is. Number 1 is Scott Thompson. Great way to start the day. Thank you. Our second winner is Mr. Leon. Awesome video. Our third winner is Patrick Landfair. Says thank you, Paul. And our fourth and final winner is Michael Christian. Always good stuff that I need to hear to get refocused. Guys, it's that simple. Just comment right down below so you comment what impact this video had on you and how you're going to take it and use it in your business moving forward. Winners get into contact with Victoria. Her email is going to be right over here. And guys, we'll see you next week. Take care.